Hello, my name is Jack Kozicz.
And I'm Kevin Turnbull.
And this is the Communicators Sports Podcast. Today we have a special guest, Senior Emre Babbitt.
How's it going, guys?
And we're going to just ask him a couple questions about just the world of sports in general, I guess.
Exactly. Not much new has happened since Tuesday, so we figure let's interview some people and see their opinions on the sports world.
Yeah. So first off, Emre, who do you think is going to win the Heisman on Saturday?
Did have to go with Jameis from Florida State. He's done an amazing job this year, being a freshman. Number one team in the country. I think he's the front runner, definitely.
Do you think he is better than Manziel was last year?
No, you can't. I think it'll be hard to replicate what Manziel did last year. That was just insane.
Do you find it surprising that a lot of people were leaving him off of their ballots until the charges against him were dropped, or?
No, I mean, in the definition of the Heisman, it's not all performance on the field. It's also quality of character. And if he had been charged with rape, obviously, it's not the best thing to have on your record. So I think people were smart to wait until the charges were eventually dropped.
Okay.
Good point. So do you think Jameis Winston will lead his Florida State Seminoles to win the national championship, or do you think Auburn beats him?
I don't know. I think Florida State's definitely the better team. Overall, they've got a better team, better defense, definitely. But I don't know. It seems Auburn finds a way to win. Against Georgia, against Alabama, they were outplayed, but they still found a way to win. So I don't know. I think Auburn might have the luck on their side.
All right, so gun to your head, who do you pick?
I'd have to go with Auburn.
All right, fair enough.
Do you have a score?
Go 24-21, Auburn.
Nice.
It's a defensive battle then. There's been rumors now that Nick Saban might leave to Texas if Mac Brown does resign by the end of the week. What do you think of that?
I don't know. I think he's old now. I think he's 60-something.
62.
62?
Or 63.
And I don't think he wants to be part of I don't think he wants to spend the next 2-3 years rebuilding a program. I think he obviously has been doing pretty well at Alabama.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he could definitely, if he stays at Alabama, he could definitely win 2-3 more national championships before he's done. So I think it'd be better for him to stay at Alabama.
From the very beginning with Alabama, he has said that the only school he would leave Alabama for is Texas, and there's been a contract extension from Alabama on his desk since Friday, and he still has not done anything with it. Do you think he's just waiting, or is it just he hasn't gotten around to it?
I don't know. I think he obviously would like to go to Texas. I mean, like you said, he did say that was the only school he would leave for, and I think he definitely wants to go to Texas, but I think when he said that, he expected Texas to be a bit better off when he would take over the job than they are now. I mean, they've had a pretty disappointing couple of years.
Yeah. So speaking of disappointing years, how did the Big Ten fulfill your expectations, if they did or not?
Well, Michigan State definitely exceeded expectations. Their defense, one of the best, if not the best in the country. Ohio State, I mean, sure, they were ranked in the top 3 or 4 all year, but, I mean, if you look at their schedule, it was pretty pitiful. I mean, they didn't play anybody up until Michigan State, and they lost. And other than Michigan State and Ohio State, I don't think there were really any notable years in the Big Ten. It was pretty lackluster.
So do you think in the bowl games the Big Ten goes 500 above or below? What do you say?
I would have to say below 500. I mean, the top two teams, Stanford, Michigan State, that's not a gimme at all. Stanford's a solid team. Ohio State, Clemson, that's definitely not a gimme. And then other than that, I don't think there's any Big Ten teams that are really favored in their bowl games.
Fair enough.
How did you expect Michigan to play this year, and could you just recap their season and tell us a little bit about how you feel at the end of it?
Oh, I mean, there's definitely high hopes going into the season. There was talk of, Devin Gardner being a Heisman front runner, and I think, at least I was expecting another, 10-2, 9-3 type of season. So it was definitely a bit disappointing, especially the way we finished. We lost 4 of our last 5 games, which was not the best way to finish the season. But I think definitely we would have ended feeling a lot better if we had beaten Ohio State.
Yeah. After Brady Hoke's first season took us to the Sugar Bowl, Rich Rodriguez in Arizona said, "Well, I could have done the same thing." After seeing Brady Hoke's performance, as a coach, go down every single year, do you believe that? Do you think Brady Hoke was just doing well with Rich Rod's talent, or do you still have faith in Brady Hoke?
Oh, I definitely still have faith in Brady Hoke. I mean, I think that first year was a bit of a fluke. One, we probably shouldn't have made the Sugar Bowl. We weren't that good. But I think just if we got a bit lucky that year, and if you start off that good as a coach, the expectations is you only get better. So I think it probably hurt Hoke to start off that well, because, like you said, 7-5 is not a horrible season for Michigan. It's a bit disappointing, but it's not that bad. Lloyd Carr had a few 7-5 seasons in there, and nobody ever hated him. It's just he worked his way up, where Brady Hoke started at the top. So I think that's what really Brady Hoke's done a fine job. It's just that's why people are upset.
Why don't you give us your take on the Michigan State season?
Oh, I mean, very, very impressive. I mean, besides that loss to Notre Dame, which was a bit embarrassing, because Notre Dame is not the best of football teams. I mean, Michigan State has shown that their defense can play with anybody in the country, and their offense, though it started pretty horribly, has gotten to a point where it can keep them in games.
All right, so now moving on to the NFL. What do you think about the NFC North with the Lions and their whole situation?
Well, the Lions, like usual, for the past few years have shown that they have talent. They can stick with anybody in the league if they don't do the stupid things that they always do, penalties, turnovers. I mean, they shoot themselves in the foot. I think it was Skip Bayless the other day who said that we were the only team, if we ended up playing Seattle in the playoffs, we would be the only team that could play them at home and make it a good game.
Yeah. Do you think that the Lions make it to the playoffs? Because just from the way things are shaping up now, it's not guaranteed that if they don't win the division that they'll make a wild card. So do you think that they can pull it out?
Well, I don't know. I mean, they definitely have the skill. They have the capability to. And I don't know who they play in their last couple games, but I think they definitely could make the playoffs.
They have two home games and then an away game at Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean they play. Yeah, they play at home.
The
Ravens.
the
Ravens
Ravens
this
at home, Giants at home, and they play at Minnesota. Final 3 games.
I definitely think that they could win the division. And if they don't win the division, I don't know what the wild card competition is, but I think their best chance would be to win the division.
Fair enough. All right. So Super Bowl predictions. Who wins it all this year?
I think Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll probably end up playing Seattle in the Super Bowl, especially if Seattle doesn't do something stupid. Seattle ends up with the home field advantage in the playoffs. Nobody's going to beat them at home in the playoffs. I think it'll be Seattle, Denver in the Super Bowl.
And Denver
but then
wins.
Once they're on neutral turf, I think Denver's better overall team. And
What's the score?
I'll go 34-28, Denver.
MVP of the season?
Manning, definitely. He's
MVP of the Super Bowl.
probably Manning again.
There you go. Peyton Manning has really shown that he can play wherever and step up.
Yeah.
All right, Emre. Well, I'd like to thank you for being on our CHS podcast, sports podcast.
Oh, yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, now a little update on the Red Wings. They lost to the Panthers 3-2 as the Panthers took it to a shootout and won. This continues the Wings' losing streak.
Only in overtime, though.
And only in overtime, exactly. They have not won a game in a shootout this year. Last time was last year, so I don't know.
They have more overtime losses than regulation losses this season.
Yeah, they have been struggling in the extra minutes, but it's still early in the season. Hopefully, they can get it together. They're still getting points out of it, so you can't be too sad.
To me, I think it's their age. They can play 3 periods, but every time they have to play more, they kind of get a little tired. The Red Wings are a relatively old team when you look at teams like Chicago or Edmonton, and they can't just compete all the time with these younger guys.
No, I think the key for the Wings this year is going to be tightening up on defense a little bit, not let as many goals in, and also scoring that final goal in regular time to keep them from going into the extra time and shootouts, where they obviously have been struggling.
Jimmy Howard's good, but you can't always expect him to make 30, 40 saves a game without letting up 2 or 3 goals.
Exactly.
Well, that's all we have for you today.
I'd like to thank Emre Babbitt again for joining us. We'll see you guys next week.
Yep, thanks.